Hi guys, welcome back to Manifest with Armine. My name is Armine and I'm a law of attraction consultant. So I just did a live on Instagram and there was like nobody there. I guess nobody's on Instagram who wanted to watch me. So I thought I'd do the usual YouTube live that I've been doing on Wednesdays sometimes. Um, and I'm really here just to answer your questions because what I get more than anything else is questions. And I like that because I get to answer anything you guys want to ask. Let me pretend like my house is clean. So, yeah, if you guys have any manifesting questions, now is the time because I have like 30 minutes and I really want to talk about what you guys are trying to manifest. And if you know me very well, then you'll know that I don't use the term trying to manifest because it's kind of like you're either manifesting or you're not, and you're manifesting something always, and you're either manifesting that thing or you're not. So if you guys have any questions, need some clarity, I'm happy to answer you right now. I've been reading a couple books right now, well, lately, and let me show you what they are. First one is A Happy Pocket Full of Money. Why is it backwards for you guys? I don't know. But it's David Cameron Gikandi. There you go. And it's a great book. I read part of it a long time ago, and I am just reading the entire thing over this time because when you're teaching people and coaching law of attraction, you never stop studying. It's like it's what I do more than talking to people. I just read and listen over and over because repetition is key and it never ends really. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, as you guys might know, like part of the soothing part of understanding the law of attraction is to always be hearing it again, to always be, using that either auto suggestion or just hearing it from somebody else who's talking about it. Like, I'm someone who loves to hear it in Neville's voice, so I'll hear it to Neville recordings. But it's just important to always keep that stuff in your mind and to constantly hear it. Um, Obviously, like there's sometimes you need a break just because we have to live our lives. But yeah, listening to Neville is very important to me on a daily basis, and not just Neville, but it's important to like know other perspectives too, because there are a lot of people who are actually were actually students of Neville, but um, you won't even realize that until you start really reading their work. Um, so I like kind of discovering that. Like I won't know someone was Neville's student until I've read their work and I realize, okay, clearly they know Neville and his work. So this is one of the things. Happy Pocket Full of Money. Hey, hey Johnny. Um, if you guys have any questions, like go ahead and ask while I'm talking. That's cool. Um, yeah, and then the second book that I'm currently reading is Neville's Resurrection. This is actually like it says resurrection, but it's a combination of prayer, the art of believing, feeling is the secret, freedom for all, out of this world, and resurrection. And like I was mentioning earlier, like there's a point like when you're reading this stuff that you can't. Well, I know personally, like in my firsthand experience, it's kind of like I might be really enjoying the reading, but there comes a part where something is so clear and just is exactly what I needed to hear in that moment that I'll just stop reading. And it could be a book that I really, really enjoy, but like for some reason I have to stop there. And I think that's because I've kind of trained myself to not overread and to just take that momentum, like to read until I read what I needed to hear. And then at that point, I just lose interest in the reading and I kind of just want to take it out into the world. And that's what's really important. Like, that's the thing with like too much knowledge sometimes. Like, knowledge is great, but you need to stop when there's that momentum of, um, you know, hearing what you needed to hear and take it and go and apply it. Let's see if I can get this question. All right. It says, do you know much about the I am meditation? What is your experience using it? Um, yeah. So Neville's. I mean, I'm not sure if you mean Neville's version of it, but Neville says to well, when you go into the silence, and if you just sit quietly and you repeat, I am, I am, I am, I am, and just slowly repeat that in your mind over and over, you pretty much dissolve all the distractions and everything else, all the other layers of us, so to speak. And what happens is that you kind of just go really down to the basic feeling of being source and being God, that feeling of I amness. So, and then once you get to that feeling of the nature of who you really are, of your I am, then you add onto that, you add the intention, you add what you are looking to manifest, and you add that feeling and that identifying yourself with that which you wish to be. So that is that's how I do the I am meditation. It's always just get back down to basics of who you are, the basic feeling of existence, of consciousness, of just being. And that comes for me, yeah, just quietly. I am, I am, I am, I am. And it sounds, this is one of those, like, for those of you listening to this who didn't ask that question, I know that, like, a lot of what we learn will be like, oh yeah, yeah. But until you do it, you don't really know what it does for you. And I've done that a lot of times. Like I'll just observe and read and take a concept and I'll say, yeah, that sounds good, or and that's it, and I won't use it. But I really suggest to whoever's watching right now on the recording later is just take that moment when you're in quiet. You know what, if even if you don't have quiet in that moment, you can just sit there and do it. Doesn't matter if there's people around you. You can choose to meditate anytime. So if you just close your eyes and feel that you are, like, feel I am, and you get there by just repeating I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. And then you just say it really, like, much slower than I just said it, but you just, it helps to keep your eyes closed. You don't have to. It helps if you to just kind of distract you in the beginning from where you are in that moment, because you don't want to really think about where you are. You just want to go down to the basic nature of existence, of existing, and then you repeat that until you feel just the existence of, like, your true nature of who you are, like Abraham would call source energy. So, and then once you get to that, then okay, what is it that you wanted to be that you were not experiencing being? I am, you know, respected. That, let's use that as an example. I am respected. I'm respected. I'm respected. I'm loved. I'm appreciated. I'm appreciated. I am worthy. I am valuable. I am trusted. And when you go down to that level of it, when you come out of it, you must assume that it's done, because if you did it that way, you will already know that it's done. Because you can't do that meditation and walk away from that or fall asleep not feeling like it's done, because you just penetrated through to your subconscious mind in a way that you usually wouldn't do when your conscious mind is, like, arguing against it and using reasoning to be like, oh no, but not really, because there's evidence otherwise. But when you do it this way, it really just goes straight to your subconscious, and the next day or later that day you will see evidence of it. And I do this regularly, so I really suggest it. Thank you for bringing that up, because I meditation is, like, huge. I'm working on a book right now. It's called Self-Image is Everything, and it's basically all about Neville's I am concept, the concept of I am and what it means and what the name of God really really is, and how it's, as Neville says, the master key um, to everything. So there you go. If you guys have any more questions, I might just wrap it up. It seems like everyone's busy on every platform today. Um, Everyone's busy and not on the platforms today. So I don't know. If you guys have any questions, I'll give another minute. But otherwise, I'm gonna go back to my work. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Hey, Jerome. If you obsess over what you're trying to manifest, or you keep consciously thinking about it. Yeah, the only reason that we obsess over what we're trying to manifest is because we're not in that moment in touch with our actual nature. Because once you kind of accept that anything that crosses your mind is yours and is ready to manifest in your life, if you want it, if you align with it, then there's no grounds for being obsessed with something. And I know I've been obsessed. I know how that is. And every once in a while when I get that feeling, I I just, eventually when I'm out, like when I can put the emotion aside, like I'll know that the reason I'm obsessed is because I'm just seeing it through the perspective of not having it. Because you can't be obsessed with something while feeling like you have it. I mean, you can really be in appreciation of it and you can feel really like blessed, you can feel lucky, let's say, but you won't feel like you're obsessed about it, because like that word usually, it means that you don't have it and you really want it and you're really really um all over it, and when you just get back in touch for a moment with your nature and knowing that if you have a desire in you, then like Neville says, that seed of desire carries in it everything needed in order for it to grow and manifest in your life. And that's really, I think, like really important. Like if you read about seed, I think Neville's Seed Time and Harvest, I think it's called, or just in general when he speaks about the seed and how it really really does have all the hows in there, um, then because I can say, hey, just trust it and you won't be obsessed with it, but like really look into the concept of, if you are who you if you know who you are and you are so powerful, not meaning that you have the strength to do things, but that things are easy to you because you are so powerful, so strength is not even needed, um, then the obsession by itself will die down because it'll turn into understanding and appreciation of that thing. So let me go back. Let's see. Obsess over trying to manifest, or keep consciously thinking about it. How do you relax from it? Yeah, so but by the only way you can relax from that is by just educating yourself and reminding yourself of what your actual nature of who you are is. You are the cause of all things, and that can be scary, but it's actually really super empowering because you realize that things will happen easily for you once you let it, and that feeling of obsession will. Let's see, hold on a second. Jerome, I'm gonna go back to Johnny's question in a second, but let's see, how do you relax from it? By the way, how vivid do I have to go? Um, okay, so if you're thinking about how vivid you have to be and you're imagining, um, sure. So yeah, like if you're thinking how vivid do I have to be, then let that just first tell you that you're thinking about it a little too much with your reasoning mind, and just go with your feelings. So just the general answer that I could give you that will probably help you the most, aside from just put your rational mind aside and go with your feeling, is if you feel like you're in the moment, like really feel like you're there, then you're being vivid enough. So sometimes you'll be more vivid in your, in using your senses and your imagination than other times. Sometimes using very little of your imaginary senses will get you to that feeling. Sometimes you really want to explore more with it. So it really depends on, yeah. So go with the flow of a single scene, and it'll be different in everything that you desire. Uh, let's see. So Johnny says, have you experienced the expansion feeling? Because I have, and I'm wondering if that is the state. Johnny, if you could be like a little more specifics. I don't remember if you were, that was the second part to your. Okay, are you referring to the I am meditation, the feeling of expansion? Okay, so this is what the feeling of if while I'm waiting for you to answer that, this is what it means to me when you say the expansion feeling. Um, the expansion feeling for me, for example, like during an I am meditation, um, it feels like I know the word expansion itself carries like this feeling of like, okay, becoming bigger, and it is that feeling for me. However, it's not bigger in a sense of mass, because it's funny, like it's kind of the opposite. With big, you think of mass and things get bigger, but it's like just an expansion in the sense of like lightness. Like you feel lighter and you feel bigger. You feel um like your being like permeates everything. Like everything is in your consciousness. Like it kind of it dissolves the separation between you and the objects and space and experiences and time around you. That's what it means to me. So that's how I experience the feeling of expansion. Let's see. So Jerome says, so the feeling of being there is enough. Yeah, the feeling of being there is definitely enough. The feeling of being, it's always think first person present tense. You want to feel yourself in that scene, not just see yourself in the scene. Feel yourself in the scene, and so first person present tense, and in this moment. So you want to make sure you're seeing yourself. You're not seeing yourself. You're seeing the scene through your eyes, and present tense as in the now. Like don't put it in the future. Like, oh, okay, in the future I see this. No, it needs to be first person present tense. So I'm trying to include affirmations along the way. And I think finally an explanation on Neville's explosion technique, where he says you work yourself up to state while breathing at a certain pace. Yeah, and see, in my experience, for some reason that happens sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think when it needs to happen, it does, and when it doesn't need to happen, it doesn't. Because a lot of times when you are light about something, maybe when you're not feeling obsessed or desperate about it, you're already somewhat light about it. So when you imagine something, when you feel the feeling of having it, then you don't have like a huge this was it, it's more just like the feeling of naturalness comes on, and that's it. And then it does manifest. And then sometimes it feels like when that feeling of explosion happens, when you're like, whoa, like something just happened here, that to me I think usually happens when something has more significance to me in a moment, and it feels like it's bigger. I feel like that feeling of the explosion is in itself a manifestation of kind of showing yourself like how much this meant to you, and how big you just transformed your state of being, like how much you transcended from one state to another. That's what it means to me. So yep. All right, so glad I got to answer a couple questions. If you guys, one more. Okay, Johnny, thank you. And I get to a place of being as in very, very aware kind of place. I feel a difference in depth perception. Yeah. I also I've also experienced vibration, tingle, and expansion. Yeah. There are, this is experienced in like several different sensations. Sometimes it feels um very strange. Sometimes it doesn't feel very strange. Sometimes it feels strange in different ways. Um a lot of times it's like I'll just freeze. My mind will freeze. Sometimes I'll just kind of not. There's one word that I think kind of encompasses this for me. It's the word ineffable. And it's funny because I had heard that word before. I didn't know exactly what it meant, but long time ago, we were driving with my boyfriend on the freeway, and this the word was it the word? No, this feeling came to me of, wait, this stuff that like we know, like it's kind of big, like it becomes like, I don't want to say eerie, but you know that you knowing this is, there's something very sacred and powerful and just in a way that, see, even then I could not find the word for it. um, and I was contemplating that a little bit, and then we exited, and at the exit, you know how there are these like freeway dividers, like that when they put it they're like cement parts of walls, and then when they put it together it creates this barrier on the freeway, like if they're doing construction or something. And when we exited the freeway, for some reason one of those big concrete like half walls was temporarily placed against another wall, and it just said in big block letters, it said ineffable. And I immediately looked it up, and it was just like kind of stenciled on there in huge letters. And I looked it up, and it was exactly the the definition of that was exactly what I had just been feeling on the freeway. It just that aspect of that thing that you can't explain, that you feel, that is just too big to convey, you know. And so yeah, I think either way, when you experience expansion, and there's this old recording, and I keep wanting to share parts of it with you guys, but it's a really old Abraham recording, and it says something about, there's a big part about being a blended being. And what they mean by blended being is that, you know, okay, you're a human being, right? But there's also this greater part of you that is much greater than the physical part of you, that you are even as you are experiencing being a human being. Um, so basically, once you understand the nature of this reality, and you understand that you are also that and not just physical, and you're able to experience life as that, you become a blended being, because you become aware of being human and aware of being physical and aware of being non-physical. So that is what this feeling is for me. The feeling of what you're saying, expansion. That's what the closest thing that I would say that I've experienced that as, just knowing that you're this, but so much more than this. Let's see. Also the feeling of depth perception you're talking about. Um, yeah, it's everything around you just feels different. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I agree that this is that is why I was confused about it, because it's different every time. Yeah, yeah, no words to describe it. And I think that I like that there's no words to describe it, because words won't do it justice, and I wouldn't want words to do it justice. I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It's the thing that cannot, it's not physical, and it can't even be explained by physical words. So, description. All right, guys, I'm gonna. Oops, something else. Yeah, it is really interesting. So, not much about it out there. No, there isn't that much about it out there. And even when Abraham explains it, or when Neville explain that, it's more in a the idea of it, and the idea that the facts that we are more than that. But yeah, not a lot is written about that feeling of when you know what, honestly, when Neville talks about the promise, I feel like that's kind of not exactly, but I feel like that's more or less like if you experience that and understand um, the nature of who you really are, and you get those moments of like whoa, and um, everything around you starts to feel different. I think that's a large part of the promise. So if you've read those things that Neville writes about the promise, if you've read Along the Promise, or if you haven't, read it, and you will maybe get it, because he describes it in such a specific way to him that he experienced it. But I think in general, um, what he means is that feeling. So, is it trying too hard to visualize every day? What are signs of trying too hard in general? Hey, your favorite memory. Um, if you're trying too hard, the only way, and it's the only way you need to know that you're trying too hard, is that it doesn't feel natural. As long as it feels natural, then you are not visualizing too much. But with that said, there's very little deliberate visualizing that's necessary in order to change anything. There's so much less effort required to to change, like to like do a 180 on parts of your life. And the reason that it feels like it's not that way is because we're seeing it as, because this means so much to me, because maybe I dug myself this so deep into this, because it took me so long to get me to this point where I'm so not liking this situation and this subject in my life, then it must be at least, you know, a, a large percentage as difficult or as time consuming to get me to a better place about it. But that actually, luckily, or rather, fortunately, that is absolutely not true. By just deliberately choosing the way you feel about something, about part of your life, will visualizing very little will get you very far. And yeah, a little bit goes a long way. And if you're worried about how often you should be visualizing, then in that moment when you ask yourself that, you're thinking too much about the logical, rational part of the process. And just forget about that. Just go with feeling. As soon as you feel like natural about what you want, that's enough visualization. Let's see. Yes. Okay. In the beginning, of course, it's not gonna feel natural. That's actually the starting point. The starting point is when it doesn't feel natural. Um, it's good to acknowledge that and be like, okay, yeah, doesn't feel natural, so good, that makes sense. This is my starting point. And but you can, repetition is important, but repetition with feeling. Like it's not about how many times you repeat a visualization or how many times you repeat an affirmation. Not at all. It's about how much are you matching with that feeling while you're affirming or visualizing. Um, so repetition is good, but it doesn't mean the more you repeat it, the more powerful. No, it means um, feel it and feel it and feel it again until it feels natural, and then let it go. And let it go as in just like go on with your life. Doesn't mean you have to completely forget about it. Remind yourself every once in a while, hey, this is real, this is happening, and be excited about it. Get excited about it, you know. I visualize. Hi, Mr. Me. I visualize way too much then. Yeah, most of us do when we're trying to manifest something, because we think that there has to be like the equivalent of some effort put in order to achieve something. But So I visualize way too much then. I haven't dropped in months and don't think I will now. Mr. Me, if you could be just a little more specific about that, and I can like actually specifically like help you right now. I visualize way too much then. I haven't dropped in months and don't think I will now. Just let me know what you mean by that. And then we can get into that. So yeah, I still have like a few minutes. So yeah, if you're the visualizing is not something because we're always visualizing. It's not about it's not like we're never visualizing and then we decide to visualize and then things change. That's oh that would be wrong for me to tell you guys that's the way it is because it's not. We're always visualizing. We always are going through emotions and scenes in our mind constantly. And guess what? When we're worrying, that's what we do too. And we tend to do that when we're worried. But if you like just choose what you want to feel and see in your mind's eye, instead of doing it automatically based on reactions to things, then that's really where your power, that's when you're harnessing your power. You are taking your creative power, you're taking your imagination, and you're using it by choice to manifest what you want instead of what you don't want. So it says, sorry, I mean, I haven't dropped the visualization months. Yeah, and since I never could let go, then I don't think I will now. Oh, you can let go. You will let go. You will um, you may struggle with it, you may have struggled with it, um, you may give up and then go back to it. Sometimes, so the word give up means different things. Sometimes it means like to stop doing the action but still holding on to the tension. So if you're still holding on to the tension and you just drop it, then you'll just eventually come back to it because you don't lose a desire. Desires don't go away. Like you can't just drop a desire. But now if you're feeling, now if you're giving up, and what that means to somebody might mean that you're letting go of the visualization and the tension, then it actually would just show up. So because what it tells me that you're saying that you haven't dropped the visualization for months, it means that you kind of have tension around it, and you're feeling like I have to do this, I have to keep doing this until it shows up. And when Neville says um, you have to do it until it shows up in your in this physical externalized world, um, he doesn't mean that you keep planting the seed, because the seed is already planted the first time you do it. The first time you establish that feeling, that's when it's done. Like that's when you've already planted the seed. But like a beautiful analogy he uses is to carry that feeling with you like wearing a perfume. It's just with you throughout the day. Be aware of it. Be aware that it is part of you already. Not the desire, but the actual manifestation of it, that feeling of already having it. So you don't have to always visualize. If you feel like you have to always visualize, if that was what you were doing, what you were feeling before, it's only because two things. First, you thought you have to visualize either enough or a certain way in order to manifest something. And the thing with that is, if you're visualizing and you don't feel like it's done, then what you're visualizing is in alignment with not having it in the first place. Because there's no way that you can actually feel yourself into a scene, feel yourself into a reality, and then like not feel, and then walk away from it feeling like I have to do it again. If you walk away from a visualization, walk away as in like if you exit the visualization, feeling like this needs a few more sessions, or this needs a few more, and same thing with coaching. Like if you leave a session thinking, yeah, I still need to work on it this much. No, it's you don't have to work on it more. You just do it in this moment and let yourself do it. And 9 times out of 10, the reason that you don't let yourself really just feel natural about what you want during the visualization is because we think that like we don't have permission to. And it sounds like stupid kind of, because like why would we need permission to imagine what we want, right? But no, because we're so used to like thinking limited and thinking, okay, it's okay to imagine this, but it's not okay to imagine this. Like it's okay for me to imagine the like halfway through, um, to my goal, but it's not, doesn't really feel okay to just have that, like Neville says, brazen impudence, to just imagine completely exactly what we want without putting limits on it. So just do it. Just like close your eyes and jump. That's kind of what the feeling, honestly, that's exactly what it feels like for me. It's just like close your eyes and jump and know that it's going to catch you. Know that the feeling is going to catch you. Jump with it and trust that the feeling that you're feeling is good and it is going to manifest, um, in your physical reality. And there's no need for, um, wondering if it's enough or wondering if it worked. So, how do you deal with worry? How do you deal with worry? It You deal with it in a very natural way by focusing on what you prefer instead. And if you give me a more specific example for that too, I can tell you like, okay, different ways you can approach it. But deal with worry. Let's say, okay, worry that your manifestation won't make it, that won't pull through. Um, you just have to know that whatever you plant, you will reap the harvest. You will. Um, and if if nothing else, then time will make you more confident knowing that, because you'll know that not only the seeds that you intended to plant, but the seeds that you are planting while you're worrying, because you're planting that seed when you're worrying. Like, and it's funny because we're so often more quick to acknowledge that, oh, I don't want to worry, I don't want to feel bad because I'm planting that seed. Um, but yet when we're thinking about what we do want, we think, oh, I don't know if a seed's gonna take, we have so much more confidence in the things that we're worried about, it seems. But um, worry is, how they say worrying is planning for the thing that you don't want. um, and that's really what it is. You just soothe yourself into understanding that, um, I'm creating my experiences through how I'm feeling about it. So anytime there's a subject in your life, an area in your life that you are really wanting something to shift, something to change, then be responsible about it in the sense of like choose your emotions tied to that topic. You can choose to feel a certain way, and a lot of people say I can't control my emotions that way, or they'll say it, but they'll say yeah I can, but they feel like they can't control their emotion. But if you step back for a moment and you realize that emotions are states that you're moving in and out of, so you can step into a state of appreciation and a state of relief, and then think about that thing, that area of your life, and think about that area of your life through the feeling of relief, and allow yourself to do that. It's a lot of it's an amazing feeling because you will feel that relief, and you will feel like wow, like a lot of times, like when you were younger, I don't know if you had this experience, but well, I don't even know if I had this experience, but just like if anyone had a grandma, who, if you were worried or like, okay, I do actually remember when once it was like thunder, it was a thunderstorm, and my grandma was watching us. My grandma, who I didn't even know really well because she was visiting from overseas and I was very small. But there was a thunderstorm the night she was watching us. My parents were not home, and there was a thunderstorm, and I ran to her and she hugged me, and like that soothing feeling of like an older person of authority who you feel comfort in that moment, let that feeling be there for you, because we think that we have to find that soothing and relief through a person, but you can give yourself that feeling, and once you know how to do that, that's huge. Okay, let's see. Okay, I just missed a lot of questions. Let's see. Don't think I'll be able to. Oh, you will. You will. It's okay that you don't think you'll be able to, because That's where you are right now in terms of that one thing. But Mr. Me, I'm talking to you, Mr. Me. Sorry, I'm not like I haven't I didn't specify that, but yeah, Mr. Me, you will be able to, and it's okay that you don't see that now. But there are always cracks in time, and there will be a time that you um, are able to see it through that crack, and you will be able to let it go, like feel it and let it go. Um, Strong feelings of doubt. Okay, so here's a different perspective for doubt. Okay, Jerome. So there really doubt is like doubt is a concept that like it doesn't like really exist in the way that it's kind of like darkness. Like there really is no darkness, it's just absence of light. So what you're feeling when you say you're feeling strong doubt, just tell yourself that doubt is only faith in what you don't want. So you always have faith. You always are having faith in either something that you do prefer, or you have strong faith in the thing that you do not prefer. So it's don't worry about seeing it in the sense of like what's gonna win, faith or doubt. And I'm saying this to you because that's how I would tell myself, you know. That's how I tell myself. It's not a battle about faith or doubt. Is faith gonna win or is doubt gonna win? It's not like that. It's much more simple than that and much more forgiving than that. It's just like, okay, where am I gonna place my faith right now? Am I gonna place it in the thing I want or in the thing I don't want? That's I really recommend you start looking at it that way just for a day. And like don't even make it hard on yourself. Just like for a day, if you can sometimes remind yourself to see it as that, then things will start shifting for you. Okay? Let's see. So your favorite memory is asking is visualizing in the evening or whenever planting the seed or feeling it real. You don't have to plant the seed every day, right? So why do you have to visualize every day? You don't have to visualize every day. Just visualize until it feels real to you and then carry that feeling around you like a scent, like a perfume that it's already done. Like that's part of your I am now. Just always remember that that's part of your I am. So don't worry about visualizing at night or in the evening, before you sleep, in the morning. It's recommended to do at night because you're in that drowsy state and your logical rational mind is not going to really fight it that much, and it gets accepted into your subconscious mind faster. But if you're feeling tension about it while you're doing that, then it's not helping you to do it at night. The whole point is for you to be relaxed while you're doing it. Okay. Let's see. Throughout the day, more or less. I don't remember where we were when you were saying that, Jerome. Okay, yeah. Hello, Ivan Cito. Currently studying all of Neville's work. Awesome. Yeah. Whew. There's a lot to study, and honestly, you need to study very little before you start experiencing how amazing it is. And I think you probably already know that if you're looking it up. Let's see. I know the video is shaky today. I'm not using my mic or my stand or my light today. Thanks for this. You're welcome. Currently studying all of those. Sometimes visualizing calms me down, though if I'm reacting, yeah. I can catch the feeling, but it passes, so I visualize again. It's a constant cycle. Yeah, sometimes it feels like that because it's just. I mean, I don't know if you want me to explain this in like a scientific. I'm not a scientist, but um, it's very simple if you see it as your brain is used to um, certain connections. Those neural pathways are connected in a certain way. That's why, like, for example, you're able to maybe drive from home to work or from home to, your friend's house sometimes without even paying attention. Like you get there and you realize, wow, I was not even paying attention to where I was going. Like, how did I get here? Because your mind is so familiar with that path. And the same thing happens with our feelings, with our emotions. Like there are certain parts of the brain that are just there are these connections that are already there, and now that you're um, training a new path, a new road for it to take, it just your mind is, if you stop doing it consciously and if you stop like thinking about it in the beginning, then you're gonna end up driving to your friend's house instead of to the grocery store that you were actually trying to go to this time. You know what I mean? If that made sense. But let's see. But yeah, just keep with the cycle. It's okay. My question's not relevant anymore. Then it's okay. You're welcome, Mr. Armine. Basically, make yourself more confident in your feelings and understandings. Yeah, because your feelings are not you. Your feelings are just states. They're states that you're moving through, like Neville says. So don't worry about it. Um, Thank you, Joshua. Thanks. I don't know about that right now, but sure. Thanks. I'll take it. I have another question about feeling natural. If in the beginning it's normal for it to not feel natural, how do I know when it's not normal anymore? Okay. Like when is the line between beginning and trying hard? Um, Take your reasoning mind and say, hey, thank you for what you do, but I'm just gonna put you like right here for now. Like I'm gonna put you like right to the side, and I'm just gonna feel really good. And I'm gonna let myself get really into this right now. And imagine like if you're a kid and you're imagining something that you really want, something like an experience or a toy or whatever, going to a place like Disneyland that you really want to experience. And in your mind, you're there and you're soaring, and then, your parent comes in and you tell them what you're thinking about, and they're like, that's not going to happen, or we're not going to go, I told you we can't do that yet, or I told you if you don't do this, that's not going to happen. Okay. So in this story, what's happening is that your parent is the reasoning logical mind. So during your visualizations, you have to put your parent away, like, because you have to be like in the Bible, it says, in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become like a child. And there's a reason for that. If you want to experience your heaven, then you need to think like a child and allow yourself to really use your imagination to feel excited and to soar. So once you do that, then you don't even ask yourself, am I trying too hard? Or it's just like, yeah, of course, in the beginning, it feels unnatural because you haven't been to Disneyland. You know what I mean? So you don't know what it's like. You don't know what to imagine. It feels unfamiliar. But then in your mind, you start like imagining these streets, and you start imagining these characters, and you start imagining these candy stores, ice cream shops, and rides, and all this fun stuff. And as you imagine it, it unfolds more, and then it becomes more natural, and then you start to actually think from that state, which is where you want to be. So there we go. All that analogy was great. How do you feel like music? Do you feel like music enhances the law of attraction better? Okay. So according to Neville, classical music did help him. According to what's that guy who did the like cures they don't want you to know about, or something, Kevin Trudeau, I think. So according to him, it's not just classical music, but Baroque music. So Baroque music, and I agree with this. So Baroque music is great for manifesting. It puts you in a state that feels natural and at ease. Now, it might be that that's for me, but in general, Baroque music, I recommend trying it. Now, for you, it might be something else. It might be that might be something else that for most people wouldn't be something that they want to hear while they're like visualizing or feeling things real. Might be that it works for you just because you have an association with it that is helpful. So music could do that. A lot of people like to listen to 528 hertz music or sound. So weight loss with the mind, diet, exercise, not necessary. Okay, so this is something that I do have experience with. Hi Del Del, or Del Del. Weight loss with the mind. Diet, exercise not necessary. Okay, so this is how I want to approach this. Diet and exercise are not necessarily things you need, and they're not things that you have to avoid. So both ways. Like, if it's your intention to not diet and exercise and you have tension around that, then you're going to kind of struggle through even the mental part of it. But the truth is that diet and exercise are not necessary to lose the weight. However, they are often a positive part of it, and if it's necessary, it will come naturally. So don't even worry about it. Basically, if you can see yourself in your mind's eye, at the weight that you want to be, and start seeing your life through that perspective, then you will start to shed the weight. And if diet and exercise is necessary, then it will come naturally to you, and you won't even realize that you're doing it. You will not feel like you have to push yourself to go to a gym, or it will happen the most natural way. There won't be any of that kind of willpower involved. And this is where I want to kind of touch a little bit on willpower. Willpower was never meant as something that means you are strong in the sense of controlling your actions. Because controlling your actions is like skipping over the most basic step. Like, you can't control your actions because the only way to actually control your actions is through controlling your thought patterns and your feelings. So if your I am is I'm heavier than I want to be, then your actions are going to be aligned with that. They're going to align with keeping the result of I'm heavier than I want to be, and maybe even getting even heavier. So just remember that the goal isn't to keep diet and exercise out of the process. It's just that your main focus is the way you feel. And a lot of times people are already dieting and exercising and they're not losing the weight because their mental image, their I am, is not of someone who is at that weight. And even though they're dieting and exercising, the weight is not falling off anymore, because that plateau means that that's still where they're seeing themselves. So even though they're doing the work, they're not losing it. So yeah, it's much more important to just see yourself at that weight and see yourself in your mind's eye at that weight, or what that weight looks like, and feel your body at what that weight feels like to you. Okay. Let's see. You answered my hi Raven. You answered my question. Thank you. Hello. Hi. What's that called? Baroque music? Baroque. Oh, Baroque music. It's Baroque. Baroque. Baroque music. It's a type of classical music from a certain period, and it's relaxing. It's not like very it doesn't make you feel very upbeat or very, down. It's just very like light music. Sorry, I guess I didn't enunciate when I was saying that. Okay, I tend to talk fast, so. Okay, Del, best tips for manifesting money from all sources, especially with jobs lost now. Okay, so so best tips for manifesting money from all sources is don't focus on the source that you want it to come from. Just focus on already having the money and enjoying it and feeling the comfort and ease of being in that state. Okay? So what you really don't want to do is mess with where it's going to come from, because we tend to, when we worry about money, we tend to just immediately think of, okay, where's it going to come from? And we think that we're being responsible by maybe like listing in our minds of possible places it might come from. But though that's would usually be the responsible thing to do, according to like logical financial stuff, this is not of that nature. Like, this is all about just feel yourself in the state of already having received it through ease and being at peace with it and having it feel natural to you. So how does it feel to you to have money coming from different sources? How does it feel to you to know that you are able to, you know, do what you need, what you want, given the conditions, whatever. Like it's not like just because we're not really leaving the house right now, it doesn't mean that you can't use those resources. Obviously, it's like Reverend Ike says, I've been poor and I've been rich, and I can tell you, rich is better. Because people would say to him like, "Oh yeah, you have so much money now, but money can't buy you health, or money can't buy you happiness." But yeah, that's what Reverend Ike said. He said, yeah, which we know, Reverend Ike was a student of Neville's. He said, I've been really poor and I've been really rich, and I can tell you, rich is better. So yeah, in any circumstance, you want that comfort. You want knowing that you have those resources, you have that income coming. And a lot of times, the reason that we limit ourselves, even what we can imagine in terms of income, is because we feel like, since we don't understand how it's going to happen, then we don't take that leap of faith and be like, I'm just going to imagine it. So use that brazen impudence that Neville talks about, and just imagine already having multiple sources of income. Affirm, I have like money coming in from different places. Like, wow, I didn't know money was going to come through here. I didn't know money was going to come through here. Without filling in the specifics, fill in the specific feelings. All right. It's the best steps for manifesting money from all sources. I gotta go soon, but I want to get your questions. So, thank you, Del. Okay, so your favorite memory. How do you specifically deal with opposing thoughts? Like, do you acknowledge it and try to soothe your mind, or do you push it? Acknowledge it and soothe it. Definitely, first one. Acknowledge it and soothe your mind. Don't try, you do it. Because trust me, you can. You don't have to try, you just do it. Acknowledge it and be like, okay, this thought is coming. This thought is not in alignment with what I want, so I'm going to soothe myself until I feel better. Do you push away because it felt real? Felt it really? No. You're not feeling it real when you acknowledge it. You're just acknowledging that it's there, and it gives you that a new starting point to work from. Yes. Happy with Lutz. Correct. All right. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions. So very. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna wrap up. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to. I don't know if I'm gonna post this. Good night, Raven. I don't know if I'm gonna post this video or not, but if I happen to not post it to stay on the channel, then you can email me anytime at, let's do hello@manifestwitharmine.com. So that's hello at my website, so manifestwitharmine.com. And I'm usually pretty good about answering questions from there. It might take a few days at most, but yeah, usually I'm happy to answer questions. If you guys have any questions about coaching or consulting, you can ask me that too. But that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for participating today. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.